Okay, we're going to look at solving equations by finding square roots. The concept really isn't that bad. We'll look at some examples. And the main thing is, when we look at these, you just have to bear in mind that whatever is in parentheses that's being squared, you'll have to take the square root of the entire thing. So it'll get a little more complicated, but not much as we move down to these sorts of problems. Now, if you want to find out what c is, we learned that the square root and the square operation cancel each other out. So if you take the square root of c squared, and what you do to one side of an equation, you do to the other, and the square root of c squared is simply c equals the square root of 32. And whenever you take a square root, because the square root of, as we noted in this example down here, square root of 9 can be 3 or it can be negative 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. So we're always going to put a plus or minus in front of it. And you also have to simplify if you can, as we learned in the previous section. And I believe in this one we can. So we have plus or minus the square root of 16 times the square root of 2, because 16 times 2 is 32. So you have plus or minus 4 times the square root of 2. And that's all the farther you can simplify it. So here we have to do a little bit of work to get the x squared isolated by itself, pretty much the way you would do it in solving an equation for x. First, we'll eliminate this 12 from this side by adding 12. So now we have 4x squared equals 28. And again, we want to get x squared by itself. So we'll divide by 4, both sides. So now you have x squared equals 7. Again, square root and square cancel each other out. So we simply have x is equal to the square root of 7. And remember to put your plus or minus, because you don't know if it's the positive or negative square root of 7. In this example, the entire x minus 4 is being squared. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of this 1/3, which we can do by multiplying by 3. So you're left with x minus 4 squared equals 33. Now, because this whole thing is being squared, you want to take the square root of the entire part. So you have the square root of x minus 4 squared and the square root of 33. The square root and square cancel, and you're left with x minus 4 equals the square root of 3, and it'll be plus or minus. Now to get x by itself, we'll simply add 4. And we've got x equals 4 plus or minus the square root of 33. And that 33 cannot be simplified. There are no factors of 33 that have roots that are whole numbers. All right, let's try one more. Again, this whole part here, x plus 2, is being squared, so we want to get that by itself. So again, much like an equation, we'll subtract the 4 away. So we have 3 times x plus 2 squared, and 13 minus 4 is 9. And now we have to get this 3 eliminated, so we divide by 3. You now have x plus 2 squared equals 3. Again, square root both sides. So the square root of x plus 2 squared is simply x plus 2 equals plus or minus the square root of 3. Subtract the 2 to get x by itself, and we have x equals negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 3. And that's it for this section.